All right, hey, I think we're live. Give me a second here to check my signal. I'll go through a quick intro. Get this out of the way. Hey, guys. I'm just updating the studio here to get us up and running. Give me a hot minute, and we'll put in a couple hours of artwork in this morning. Let's see, checking my signal here. Sounds like it's coming through loud and clear. That is good news for the home team. Let's go ahead and grab that link so I can do the social media updates. And then we'll get to work here in just a moment. So if you are familiar with the channel already, you can skip ahead a minute and we'll get into today's artwork. If you are new to the channel, or if you're trapped here in space-time with me here now, my name is Phil Kearney. What's up? I create role-playing games. I illustrate them and I publish them online. And we are currently making an adventure for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition using the 2024 rule updates for an adventure in the Eberron campaign setting. You're fighting undead in the Carnwood Forest in Carnath on the continent of Corberk. And so I've been a DM since 1987. I have been an Eberron enthusiast since 2004 or 5. I've been a freelance illustrator since 1999, and I've been creating content on the DMsGuild since 2018. So I have yet to publish an actual adventure. This is my chance to correct that, of course, in the Eberron campaign setting, which is my favorite published world. DMsGuild, you can publish stuff for Eberron there. So that's where I'm publishing stuff. Eberron on DMsGuild. That's my intro stuff. Here on YouTube, of course, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications when we're live in the future. Here's the entire playlist of all 394 episodes of creating the maps, the tokens. Now we're doing page illustrations for this thing. And here's a bunch of other books I've made on the DMsGuild already. You can check them out. If you click through, they all have free previews. If you like the stuff, consider purchasing to continue similar behavior in the future. So let's see if everything's doing perfect. Okay, great. So we made this book cover on episode 40, Crystals of Bar. It'll be about that big when you see it on the DMsGuild front rack. And but that's not today's deal. We are continuing to work on the appendix of expanding the campaign and the adventure. And we've been making this horde of undead, which is the results of failing the adventure, or if you have an objective that doesn't shut the operation down and instead just enriches your clients, then everyone's eventually going to have to deal with an undead threat being led by a Yugoloth. So we are in the process of illustrating a horde of zombies, and for the most part, I'm pretty happy with the front line we have going here. It's the back line that needs some cleanup, but I like this the fog effect, because there's fog everywhere in this manifest zone, and it's a necrotic effect that when it saturates plant life, it necrosis. It just disintegrates the cell structure of the plants. They turn into goop. So the forest inside the manifest zone is more like a dryland swamp, except it's constantly raining during this time of the year. So it's mixing in with the slough of melted plants. So it's creating this nasty necrotic slurry that people slog through as difficult terrain. Of course, undead aren't slowed by it at all, and so they can just chase you down. That fog is also obscuring to our vision. Depending on how thick and intense it can be, it'll be anywhere from a 20-foot to 40-foot visibility, and then lightly obscured beyond that, and then no visibility beyond it. So at most 40 or 80 feet in the adventure. So everything's close quartered. The undead can come at you fast. They can see you sooner because their vision isn't impeded by the mist. But your characters are slogging through this place looking for sights they have no visual cues on. If you have a familiar that you send forward, that can help, but there's also aerial creatures that are in the mist that aren't affected that could take out your familiar and further blind you. So it's a fun challenge for 7th and 8th level characters. And then once you get to a location, you can use that as kind of a waypoint for you to know where to go on from there. So you're like slowly mapping through this environment. There's 3 main structures that are at the center of the manifest zone that are going to be of concern to the characters directly, to get down inside of the underground facility. That is where this ritual is being performed that's generating the manifest zone. And that your characters are either there to stop or to place under new management. So let's see. Here's our back line. We're going to drop down the opacity there, and here we got. I think we'll be able to get done with the line art today without any real difficulty. I've got a 2-hour block. I have the day off. Yay! It's a holiday here, and I am going to spend a few hours, maybe 2 or so hours. We'll see what my endurance is like for doing artwork this morning. But we'll do artwork today because we always do artwork Mondays through Fridays in the morning like this for an hour or so at least. And then we'll be back at 1:30 to work on book design. We're going to review and edit the Martial Power System that we've been developing and playtesting on Monday nights. So from probably 1 o'clock to like 3:30, I reckon, we'll Seattle time, we'll be playing around inside the Martial Powers document, and then I have playtesting tonight for said Martial Power System on my server, on my Discord, which is linked down below. You're welcome to jump in if you wish to sharpen your knives and talk design. So we'll be doing that at 5:30 Seattle time. So I'll have a 4-hour block this morning for me to get some page layouts done. Watching page layouts is kind of like is like watching somebody write a novel. It is not the most. Maybe the novel is going to be good when it's done, but writing it, that's not the most thrilling thing to watch. So design is different because you actually get to talk about like the philosophy of what goes into the game design. But doing page layouts of something that's already set is basically watching you push pixels around. Like reread the same sentence like 7 times until it makes sense, and then then put it into the space that it has, and then try to rework it so that the actual text fits inside of the physical space that's available on the page. It's not nearly as fun as proper design work. So I don't share most of that. Only occasionally do I do that stuff on stream, just to let you guys know what it is that you're missing. Or rather, that you ain't missing nothing. Nothing times nothing, carry the nothing. Yeah. Your head needs to be smaller, sir. I don't have to do too many more detailed skeletons. This should be the last one that I need to worry about at this scale. And the rest of them are just going to fade back and just be angry faces in a crowd, more or less. Let's do that. I want to change the angle on this. Good. There we go. Got that there. That feels fine. Lurch forward style on his ribs. Bring his clavicle down a little bit for it so you know the angle of the torso better. And with any luck, we'll get into color today. So you can see me grabbing samples of Undead online to introduce to our color palette. I don't see any color, so when I do color, I have to use photo references. Otherwise, I have no idea. It's just gray. It's just gray tone to me. So that's always a fun challenge, and I've reveled in figuring out how to create color art, despite me not being able to see it. For a sternum. We'll put flesh and grit over the body once we're done with it. We just want to get the base skeleton frame built correctly. And the head still feels a bit big. Free transform. Bring you down a tick. Hips down here. Yeah, not so bad. I can start putting some rotten flesh onto the character. Let's bring that in a bit. What do we need to do to make this guy feel a little bit more real? Bring that forward, let those ribs a bit. Hook that in there. I'm going to drop this fog effect here so we can see a little bit better what's going on. And let's see. Let's invisible the front line. There we go. Feels right. Pop, bring that there. That should do better. Merge this down. Let's see, this is about the right size for the bicep and shoulder, but the size of the rib cage actually a bit stretched, so I'm going to pull this into the structure a bit and slump it forward. Let's angle it. A bit like that. There, and we can maybe get this arm in here like that. Still feels a little off. Let's see what we can do to fix that. Yeah, it's too big. That's what the problem is. It slumps, and if I'm gonna have it slump forward, it needs to. There, that fits in frame better. So let's merge that down, and let's make sure that clavicle disconnects properly. Arm there feels good. I don't want to have a seam here because it's not really a shirt. It's a meat suit, but it's not a shirt. That feels much better. I don't think that's going to be relevant because it's not even going to be seen, but the posture is good. So I can leave the arm as is. I'll rely on the posture some more. Nice. I like this. I like how this is turning out a lot. Nice. Thank you, Timely Timer. That's my 20-minute timer to make sure I stay on track with my life, and so far so good. Three, four. Yeah, we start to fade from view behind the shield of the front line. So I don't really need to worry about the anatomy this far down the body too much. I just want to make sure that We get the organs and gore TM, correct? Oh, that's the head that's too big. I'm like, this kind of looks stubby, but the problem is the head's too big. The head's still too big. Head is always too big. Chibi, chibi, chibi. Now it's too far over. I've destroyed the frame. Let's get you proper. Merge down. Yeah, let's just merge down here. That'll be fun. Huh, yeah, there's still there is something off. There is something off here. The arm is too short. Cut, paste. Just gotta add some size to it. Not like this. That's better. Merge that there. Fix that head. It just looks wrong right now. There we go. Now we're starting to shape up. Now we're starting to get in there. He's got a real Beavis look to him, as in Butthead. Now that arm feels off. Let's add that back in. Let's cut it free for a moment and not worry about it. And let's worry about getting his chest right. I think that arm was distorting the perspective a little bit, so you had to cut it free to get a clear view of what's actually happening here. Still having posture issues here. Posture and depth. It feels a little flat. Just get that straightened out. I'm sure I'm going to find it in here. I just have to fuck around with the artwork long enough for it to fall into place, unfortunately. Yeah, now this feels cramped again. Cut your arm off too. Luckily they're undead and you can just do that. There's a scapula that you needed back here, and then that meets up with the shoulder joint over here. How do I need to work that? Not very much. Take that whole structure, push it down to here. I might have to just redraw the whole fucking thing. Like just do a line over. Might be what we need to do to straighten it out. So far we're doing okay dropping organs in on this guy, though. I love doing organs. I love doing just undead in general. It's super fun. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do a trace over on this. Good, and then, ooh, this might work out. This might actually work now. I think this actually fits on the frame right now. There it is. Yeah, I think this works. Clear that. Get that out of the way. There. Now we can bring this up. Meh. No. Here. Merge. Down. Thank you. Oh, nice. I like that. I like when there's like little strands, like string holding things up on their body. That just, I love doing that. Fleshing on there, make it just merge a little bit or match a little bit better with the rest of the corpus got going on. Get that there. Get in here, like that. Feels a little short, so let's push that out a little bit further. There, and yeah, that's starting to feel pretty good. I think the front line, yeah, that's gonna block that, but I want to make sure again that we do the anatomy right so it makes sense regardless of where the characters end up at. Here, and I don't really have to worry about the extremities too much because they are very much so behind the leader. Oh, nice. I like that. Yep. A little tear in his arm. That feels good. Nice. Yeah, I like how that says. Nice. And here. Organs there. go. There we go. Let's do that. There. One more resizing and we should be good. Let's see. That will do. Front line feels fine. So we can destroy, and then actually increase the size of that. Back. Yeah, that's about right. We'll have another layer. These can afford to be less detail. As we move further back, the mist is going to get thicker. So we'll see less of them in general. Timely timer, keeping time. Thank you kindly. Go. Back. Line. Adding some fog effect to help drop the form a bit. Cool, that should work. Now let's go back to where we once were. I don't like your face. Let's see. Where else can we get some quick victories in here? Let's see. How can we do this? I like where these things are being positioned, but the inference of the very loose amount has a different feel than when we actually work their heads. You get more detailed and you lose the effect. So I'm having to navigate between that implied mist and revealed form. Go. Get that front line out of the way and work this in here. Hunched form, curl in, scapula forward, don't need to have a lot, just this area here. Rudimentary body on this guy and be able to move along. There, like that. That feels pretty good. taper it off a bit. Yeah, that looks nice. Hey, what's up, Chronix? It's good to see you, my guy. How you doing? I have today off. I have a union gig here in America, so I have today off as a national holiday. So I get to put in a little bit of artwork a little bit later in the day than I normally would, and I get to stream a little bit longer than I otherwise would at lunchtime today. So I'll probably be on here for another hour and a half, and then I'll bounce out, and I'll be back on in like 6 hours. I'll be back on stream for like a 3-hour block of time. And then I've got the Martial Powers playtest on my Discord at 5:30 today. Let's see. Let's get another guy going back here. Here's our look so far. So you got these little, like when you pan back, like if you pan back, the smoky effect seems pretty good. I just need to make sure I have enough detail when you close in like this that, you know, everybody's got something going on before we start coloring. That, and then let's take another dude. Let's go further back here. I need less detail the further back I get, so it should be quicker to be able to make these things. But gesture or pose is going to mean more the further back you go. To carry what it is that they're looking at. Get rid of that front line. Hunch him over. What's up? Yeah, right on, man. Well, I'm proud to be worthy of some of your hours today. Thank you. I haven't been very talkative. I've been more just pixel grinding. So hopefully, this will be time well spent with you. Are you working on any projects right now, or are you just kind of kicking around the apartment and taking care of business while I yammer a little bit in the background? There, and get that. If I get those shoulder angles right with the scapula off the cuff, it makes it real easy to frame the rest of the skeleton lurching forward. There, like that. Arm here. This is gonna get covered a lot with, like you can see here, like the legs are fading into mist here as well, so I don't have to worry about lower extremities so much like a comic book artist, right? But the same thing, we're going to have thicker mist, and the back line is going to cover a lot of this torso anyway. And besides, most of his body's behind the head of this ghast, so it doesn't really matter that much. But I do want to make sure that the structure is there, kind of like with Bob Ross. You know, you can't necessarily see the hill anymore, but we know it's back there. And we have to give it, we have to honor its presence. So I can chintz to a degree, you know, what is going on over here. But if I have more structure than I literally need to see in the moment, I can afford to do some minor adjustments with all, like, the further forward without messing up any detail. And I was like, super way no need to do that. But yeah, I do need to have at least a little bit of this hip here because it is going to be poking through between the front line. So yeah, this is the appropriate amount of detail that I need for this position. The spell point sorcerer is just about ready to roll off the assembly line. And hey, I'm excited about that because sorcerers are, I think sorcerers and artificers are my favorite classes to play. I consistently reach for them, and so I'm playing a 5th level sorcerer in a Curse of Strahd campaign. It's the only game I'm actually playing, and I've been a forever DM for ever. And so it's fun when a campaign will crop up that I get to actually play in, and I've never actually played Curse of Strahd, so it's great to have an opportunity to, get that as a touchstone for me to be able to relate to other gamers a little bit better that have been around and that have been a little bit more invested in running Wizards adventures. And if I'm going to play in a campaign, I think it's appropriate that I'm playing in published adventures instead of homebrew, because I homebrew all the time in my own campaigns. So it's nice that while I'm playing something that's published for me just to have that, again, that common experience, to be able just to relate to other gamers that much better. That I will say that. Wizards has with their story campaigns, they have created common language for players to relate to each other. But I like using the published adventures as playtest content because most of the stuff that I design is meant to like change the way that we use the 5e game engine in a campaign. So it's fun to take a campaign that already exists, the published stuff, and then see how the variant rules that we come up with modify how that campaign runs. Like Tyrant, Tyrant of the Shadow Queen or whatever. I can never frickin' remember it. The Tiamat adventure that came out God knows how long ago. It starts with the characters coming upon a greenest, which is the name of a small town that's under attack by Cult of Dragon, a small army of Cult of Dragon. There's like 200 troops overrunning this little town, and your characters come upon it. To you, what's the difference between DMing and being a player? I'll just capstone like the greenest in flames. Your characters run across a town that's under the attack of these Cult of the Dragon, and the way that the adventure is written is that your characters your first level, you try to sneak your way through town without being noticed, so you aren't killed until you get to the town fortress where everyone's huddled and hiding in. But with the mass combat system that we have, you actually go around town accumulating townfolk to form a small militia to be able to counterattack against the occupying army. So, and in the playtesting that we did, the team was actually there's an adult, like a CR-19 dragon that's offering support to the army by catching buildings on fire and flying around. But once the team got to the citadel, they were able to rally enough archers into a squad that they could actually threaten the dragon by hitting it with volleys of arrows. And they ended up losing half of the archers when the dragon strafed. but they also did enough damage to it that it had to retreat because we dropped it down to single digits. So they got the hell out of it. It got the hell out of there. And once the dragon left, the army lost its major support. So they were able to take a squad of about 40 soldiers, the 40 remaining soldiers in the fortress, roll them out, and started just crushing through the kobolds and Drake warriors. It was pretty cool. So that was a massive success. But what's the big difference between, Jesus Christ, between DMing and being a player? I mean, it's you're playing the same game, but you are not playing the same game. Anyone that's had the blessing of being on both sides of the screen knows the difference. I'll take your question to mean, like, what is the difference in fun for me? Not necessarily like all the mechanical differences, but like what makes the experience different for me. I'll take your question from that perspective. And so from me, being a player is being part of a team. And I don't necessarily care what decisions the team makes, but what decision they make, I want to try to support the intent of the actions as much as I can with the resources my character has available. I don't care about character development. I am most interested in exploration and problem solving. I don't like riddles, but I like problem solving, and combat counts as problem solving, as does like dungeon delving and exploring ruins and stuff like that. I enjoy that the most in play. It's also the most that's also my favorite part of DMing as well. But when I DM, I prepare this world that has challenges in it that, if I've done my job right, the players have said outright that we're interested in achieving these goals. So I put those goals inside of the game for the characters to achieve after they've fought with the world a little bit, so they can, like a chew toy with a dog, you can wrestle with the world a little bit, and once you get enough growls in, then they get assuming that they live, they get through the adventure and they do the thing. Anyway. As a DM, I get to generate this world in a snapshot. Like, this is what our world is right now, and then you introduce the players into that scenario, and you just see how they decide to change it, because they're going to change it. Nothing survives contact with the players is the joke, and it's totally true. It's how they mess up the world that, as a DM, I love so much. Like, as a player, that. Like I said, that I enjoy supporting the team and look at it as a puzzle. But from a player perspective, you can fail, right? Your character can die. You could not achieve the goal. You could say the wrong thing and piss off the wrong person. There's fail states. You can either do it right or wrong. You either achieve your goal or you don't. Your character either survives or doesn't. And there's losses and the risk of loss. From the DM perspective, you can't lose. You set up scenarios that were meant to be destroyed. All you're doing as a DM is creating challenges suitable for your characters that match the magnitude of goals that they achieve for them, that they set for themselves. So I can't, as a DM, I can't have any fail states, and that really, I like that. I don't. Like, I give up on video games quickly if they get frustrating, because it's like I'm trying to relax and have free time and decompress, and being stressed out over stuff is the opposite of that. So I'm real picky about what I actually play. And so as a player, I'm always paranoid about making the wrong move or being the one that ends up costing people's lives. And that is a level of stress that I normally don't. If I'm with a really good group, I'm willing to tolerate it. But a lot of times, it's just more stress than I enjoy having. I'd rather build a world and have you destroy it than for me to try to figure out what's the right way for me to save it. Most players enjoy that opportunity to make a difference. Like, especially if you're new to role playing games, having the options to, like, literally do whatever the hell you want. And to see what the fallout consequences from that's what got me into playing in the first place too. And I think for players, it always starts the same with, wow, I can really impact. Like if you have a good DM, you can really change the world based on your decisions. And it's just always been more rewarding for me to create those scenarios to choose between than to be the one that makes the choice. Hey, Francois, it's good to see you. I like this guy. He feels pretty good. I also, one of my problems as a player is you really got to have a DM that you really freaking trust. And like, yeah, there's a lot of story trust, and I don't give that away easily. So, for beer and pretzel games where I don't have a lot of commitment, I'll game with anyone. But if it's going to be a long-term campaign, I need to really make sure that I trust that the DM like pays attention, like the amount of shenanigans that I trained on when I was learning to be a player and I was in my early years of gaming. The amount of shenanigans that we would pull was like a lot. Like ignoring quests to make golf courses in the sands of Dark Sun, or we played a lot of Planescape in the 90s, and we would just yeet out of it. Like as soon as the adventure got dull, we would immediately derail it. Our poor DM, we were constantly shitting on his efforts and bailing on campaigns, and he didn't have the narrative control to keep us from just turning campaigns into bullshit, just like shenanigans everywhere. And we found that we would do that because we'd get bored with the save the world MacGuffin premise like really quickly. We got tired of that very, very fast. And our DM the DM who ran us most often was most familiar with building like grand quest sort of affairs, and our group was absolutely beer pretzel. Let's start a bakery and see how ridiculous can we make that bakery as 12th level characters or whatever, and that would become our campaign whether the DM liked it or not, because it's all our characters it's all we would talk about while we're at the table. And he'd either go along with us or we'd literally do nothing. So it was so horrible. But bless him, we were able to. He attempted to cobble together something around like what he wanted to do and what we insisted on doing. The only reason we insisted on doing it is because we felt that the storylines were like we could see what was happening in them, and they weren't inspiring to us, and we never really had a lot of input on what the adventures were going to be. We just kind of got dropped into the world and let's go. Instead of us all figuring out, hey, maybe we should really figure out what kind of a game it is that you want to run and we want to play in, so that we can make this thing something we want. We're going to be here like 3 times a week anyway. Let's make it something that we'll sustain. And instead, it would just be reboot after reboot after reboot, because as soon as we got tired of whatever it is that was presented to us, we would just immediately derail it. So we were the absolute most just like hostile, toxic players. That's it. And that's kind of what I trained on. And what it did was it tossed me to distrust DMs and to be just radically focused on letting players dictate where the campaign is going to go. And obviously you need to know what their plan is so that you can prepare for it, and they want you to prep for it. But just being able to open up a story is like, here's the world that we're talking about. Like, tell me what it is that you guys, what kind of a style that you want. I'll put like a world idea together, and if you like that, then you can decide where you want to insert yourself into that world and how you want to start interacting with it. And that's kind of, unless I'm doing playtesting, where I know I have a specific goal and need to have a specific type of encounter to be able to test out. And I might be like actually testing an adventure. So like, this is the adventure we're testing, stay on board. But if it's just an open campaign with my home team, then it's what kind of a game do we want to run? What are the premises that we want to play with? What sort of environment do we want to mess around with? And sometimes they have a very specific request, like a Dark Sun Luchador campaign was something that we put together in 5th edition for like level 3 to 7, I think. And they were professional wrestler style combatants, and in Dark Sun, the old 2nd edition Dark Sun, they had these tests of champions where you'd assemble these massive armies, but instead of everyone killing each other, they would duke it out one-on-one. So you'd have these trial of champions, and sorry, I just woke up. I don't know what we're talking about. What the hell was I talking about? I literally don't know. Sorry. I get on. I start talking about stuff, and I'm not really aware of what it is I'm saying, and then I'll become self-aware. I'm holding a conversation about something, and then sometimes it disappears. So sorry about that. Oh, we were talking about agency, right? I don't know specifically what I was saying, but overall, the point is that most of my education, quote unquote, growing up, like the way I was trained to play D&D was to have that radical agency, and it basically got formed from us rejecting DM proposed campaigns without like really telling us what was going to happen. It just starts becoming a story, and after a while, man, this seems pointless, so we just destroy it. It's just the worst. So I guess as a DM, I'm always aware of the perspective of if the players get bored, they can just completely derail the campaign and ruin any prep that you may have prepared for it just because they're bored. And so that really got me hypersensitive about like, what is the team playing? What are they enjoying? What do we need to do to make sure that the game stays focused? And that I think that hypervigilance helped get me to a place where I can consistently run, level 1 to 20 campaigns. I'm currently on my 4th campaign, so it's been pretty successful. In 3rd edition, like 2nd edition, 3rd edition, we would just slam out high level stuff and just fuck around in a high level world until it broke, and then we'd rebuild a new world and then hack it. Like my first team was, as a player, learning those rules of engagement and an agency, and then when I hooked up with my second group, that's when I became the forever GM. And eventually, I started sharing GMing with other players that had been running around with me inside campaign worlds for a couple years. A couple of them got to the point, it's like, I think I want to run a game. I got ideas. It's like, cool, do it. And then we would take turns rotating DMs and players, and we'd run a scenario for like 4 or 5 sessions just to see what it would feel like. And then it would be like, okay, well, let's switch gears, and someone else would take the helm, and we just build like a little mini game for a little while, not even really a mini campaign or even an organized adventure. It was like, here's a world, here's characters that you built. What's some cool stuff that those two things can interact with each other, and see where it takes us. And we would normally end up in a dungeon someplace, messing around with something for whatever reason it is that we came up with. But it was all just kind of random ideas, just throwing together ideas. So we had a lot of iterations and a lot of character development and a lot of arms racing between the DM and the players to see what kind of characters can, because once you get into 3rd edition, you start doing like epic level stuff, like level 22 plus. It gets pretty gonzo. So you have to start as DMs, you start developing tactics like how to wound characters that can't be killed, how to slow characters down, that are just completely unstoppable. So that taught me a lot about how you ultimately can't stop the players from succeeding. So what can you do to make it fun for them to struggle with getting through it? How can you scare them while still making it fair, but they could die, you know? Like, so there's that fun blend. That's what the high level third edition round robin campaigns taught me. There. The kind of players you're talking about are way better than the kind that needs to be drip-fed modules. Yeah, that's true. We were very into agency, very much about telling, not even really having, like, we didn't even really care about telling a story. We had ideas for characters, and we would specifically build our characters around each other to like feel like a cohesive team. And then whatever it is that we would run across, we as players actively want to see how can we make our characters complement and synergize with each other. Set a any random stupid goal, set a goal, and then see how can we use the resources that are available to our characters to achieve it with style. And then it didn't really matter to us what it was that we were playing as long as it entertained us. And like we could, quote unquote, amuse ourselves. Like in one Dark Sun campaign, we didn't bother telling our DM that that we dual classed out. We had 19th level characters that were about to become 20th level characters, and instead of being 20th level, we all decided to take first level in a different class. In the second edition, you lose everything from your class except for your hit points. That's the only thing that you get to keep to represent your levels, and until you gain the same level as your current class, you can't use any of your current class features without taking experience point penalties. And it was like a number of times that you used your alternate abilities like would reduce the amount of experience that you would gain by 10%. So over the course of an adventure, if you used your old class's abilities 10 times, you were literally adventuring for free. So we would see how long could we go without using any of our other features in a 20th level adventure with just first level abilities. It was fucking hysterical. We all got slaughtered. We all ended up dying to random undead stuff. It was so funny. The team was like, what the fuck are you guys doing? And we told him, he's like, well, I wish you had told me that because it would have changed stuff. It's like, we didn't want you to change anything. We wanted to try it just to see what we could do. Like, because that's how we would treat the campaign. It was great. It was fucking great. What a stupid thing to do. It was so funny. I feel so bad because we just fucked with that guy constantly. It was horrible. So we would see how long could we go without using any of our other features. I'm still friends with all those guys, even the DM. These were my college friends. So fun. It was so funny. And some of those friends from college I've played with here on Roll20 over the past 10 years. None of my college team is currently in my home team, quote unquote home table. My home table is coworkers, and we play D&D to let off steam from the office. We have like IT and marketing and HR. We've got benefits. We've got a lot of different departments that play D&D with us. It's pretty fun. Pretty fun. There. That feels pretty. I don't think I need to do this any more than I have. Yeah, that feels pretty good. I'm gonna cover most of that with fog anyway. I think I need to clean this guy up a bit though, because this guy's outshining them. So let me get these in balance. I was like, yeah, I'll get the fog. I'll get this backline done today, no problem. And I'm like, I'm completely wrong again. If I could just accurately estimate how long it's going to take for me to do a project, I think that would probably do a world of good for me professionally here. As because I am constantly overestimating my ability to get shit done. It's just I do not. Everything is slow. Like I should pick a time frame and then double it. That would probably be a more accurate way for me to determine how long something's going to take. but this is just this is a side hustle for me. So I have a muse that's in my heart, and she demands that I produce artwork and create things. And if I try to ignore the call, it just gets louder and louder, and I just get nervous or like fidgety. Anxious is the right word. I get anxious if I'm not making artwork. I get an idea for a book, and I have to write it. It very much feels like a pact. So if I were to do a Greek myth sort of campaign, I would absolutely have like the muses be a type of warlock patron. That absolutely feels correct. So if I turn off my brain and if I just talk and I just run my mouth for a while, I kind of stop thinking about the pixels, and the picture just kind of gets done. And I know what that is. It's my autonomic ability that I've been arting since '99. So I've got my 10,000, probably 15,000 hours worth of artwork in now. So whether or not, I'm obviously not photorealistic style, but what I can do is I can produce my artwork style without having to think about it. So it becomes meditation time for me. Like when I'm like the front line, I got the rest of the front line, these different creatures, and hold on, let me get rid of the background. I got these 4 guys done Saturday night while people were role-playing in Curse of Strahd. I do artwork so I can listen to what they're talking about without having to sit there and just listen. I always keep my hands going, right? So artwork's good for that. But yeah, so I could create those without actually really thinking about them because I was listening to the game, and the artwork was just doing the artwork. It just came out on its own. And so when I'm going through that process, it's really fun because I only have a vague idea of like what is this going to look like, and most of the time I'm discovering what it looks like alongside you guys. It's like I only have an idea that we're going to make we're making Undead here, but I don't specifically know what these rib cages are going to look like. I just know there's a work order in the pixels. Like inside of my body, there's like a work order to make, this ghast-like creature, and it's the pixels are going to move. The hand does what it wants to do, and I just get to watch it happen. So the more I forget myself, the more as it were, the quote unquote the muse gets to pilot. And the joke is that muses can't actually feel emotion, so they compel artists to create because when the artist surrenders themselves to the muse, that's the only time that the muse can actually feel anything. So it has a relationship with passion that it can only feel through its petitioners, if that makes any sense. So I think this feeling is where the Greeks came up with the idea of the muses in the first place, because it feels inhuman. Like there's just something that's moving inside of you, and if you do these things a certain way, like it feels like it gets out. But I mean, take that with a grain of salt. I am an artist, so I do embellish. Strahd is fun. I'm really enjoying Curse of Strahd. It's cool. I know there's a ton of like different things that you can do in it, and you kind of have to pick your path. And the DM, our DM, we have a professional DM. Our friend is a professional DM, and he's run Curse of Strahd a lot of times. And he's like, "Hey, I just wanted to throw together a game for you guys because I wanted to." So I'm like, okay. So he's really familiar with a lot of the little like third party side quests and stuff that have been created. So he keeps throwing out little little adventure hook ideas and whatever it is that we glom onto. He kind of starts to run in that direction, and once we start resolving something, he throws out a couple more hooks to bleed together, and it's been a lot of fun. And I don't really know a lot about Curse of Strahd. I've specifically never really paid attention to it. So it's fun. It's been a lot of fun. All of our characters are siblings. We all have the same mother, and she's half elven, so she has a longer lifespan, and so she's having ridiculous amounts of kids that she abandons, and then heads off and basically franchises other kids. So she'll give birth, and then she'll dump the kid in that community, and then she'll move on. So our characters are all siblings that have found themselves with each other, and formed this adventuring team. So, and then we wanted more gold to buy gear than our first level characters are allowed. So we basically took a pact with a fairy spirit to give us extra gold to start with, and so as a result of that, we have to periodically sell L'Oreal makeup to NPCs in the adventure. So we carry a kit of makeup products, if we leave it be, it just magically restocks with whatever it is that we've sold. So we're constantly going to bars and offering soap products, or here's some mouthwash or whatever. I was selling toothbrushes and perfume and lavender soap last week when the characters were. Some of the players really, really into character role playing, developing personalities and stuff like that, and how would my character actually respond to this sort of, I guess quote unquote thespianism. And it's just I'm a puzzle box sort of user interface character roles as opposed to personalities. So while they're doing a bunch of personality stuff, I get sidelined a lot and just kind of listen in for the details. But then when it comes up to, when it's my turn to start engaging in role playing, I'm usually looking for somebody I can pitch product to, as we have this pact and we have to occasionally feed it, and that's my main responsibility as a team is making sure that we're pitching L'Oreal product occasionally. And we always tell our clients they're worth it, and that fulfills the obligation. Pitching product, telling them that they're worth it, and unloading some stuff. And that generally resolves it. We don't get any more benefits out of this. I think we have to continue serving through level 12, and I think that's when the campaign ends. So we'll see how that all shakes out. But that's been fun. So all our characters happen to have silver hair and pale. All of our characters with that. So when we all got together and showed our tokens, we're we all look the same. And then that's when we're oh, we should totally be siblings. So Curse of Strahd, what we think happened is we haven't been able to find our mother for years. We're all in our 30s and 40s, and we've been looking for her forever. We think that she's trapped in, I keep trying to call it Innistrad. But it's not. Barovia. We think she's trapped in Barovia, and we think there's a decent chance that she's one of the current brides of Strahd. We haven't gotten to Strahd's castle yet, but we're trying to get a feel for the place to see if our DM is going to actually drop her in as one of the as a villain that we're going to have to overcome once we start storming his castle. So we're anxious to see if that's what happens, but at the same time, we don't really know how we're going to play that out. So it's keeping us coming back to see if that's going to happen or not. I think it would be brilliant, but we also haven't really thought through how would we deal with that, or how is it going to be used against us more likely. But that's the pitch. So that's the pitch that we went with. We keep dropping hints it'd be great if Mom was in that castle, so we can put these characters to rest. And the DM's I don't know, man. She may have gotten pulled into hell. You might have to go to El Terrell to find her. So there's a possibility that we'll be doing Descent into Avernus after this as some sort of transition. But yeah, so we're kind of curious to see how that all shakes out. That feels pretty good. I think this whole thing needs to be slid over just a tig. There, and yeah, that's all the visibility I really need. I can actually afford to make this one a little bit smaller. Have it back off a little bit. Hey, look at that! It fits in the head. Perfect, perfect. That looks really good. It's, I don't know, man. She's an elven druid. So I mean, if you're a decent level druid, people might want to hook up with you just if you can get a druid on your side, you've got crops. It might be worth it. I could see a nobleman taking a druid as a concubine, just to have them get to create that bond. It's like, yeah, I'll work your land if you let me make sure it stays in balance. And the noble's like, well, that's going to help make sure my crops come in, so I have my tithes on time. There's a lot of benefit that could go on there. I can see it happening. We're all worshippers of Selûne. We have a druid, and we have a druid of the moon, and I'm a divine sorcerer of Selûne, and we have a paladin, a sparkle paladin. I forget what oath it is, but it's some sort of starry. I think just a homebrew class. But it syncs up with stars in the sky, so Selûne again. And then we had a ranger, Selûne. So just a bunch of nature cleric types, which we all decided that we inherited from our mother. Yeah, this guy's way too big, but that's okay. We'll reduce down the size when we get there. Gotta make sure that, be like that. Like that. Cool. We're doing good. Got 40 minutes left on the block. Nope. Yeah, about 40 minutes left. I have tomorrow off as well. Just burn some vacation time just to clear my my plate. If I accumulate too many hours, I stop accruing. So occasionally I'm forced to take a break if I want to continue receiving the benefit. So I decided to burn this weekend, gain some extra time. I can use the thickening mist to help create space in here, so I don't have to do a lot of details at this level. So, yeah, lucky me. Oh, right on. Paladin of Elistry, sweet. Human accents usually pronounces all the. No comment. Yeah, lucky me. So I'll be able to be on tomorrow for multiple hours again, and we'll be playing with martial powers today. Maybe I'll probably do some bastions tomorrow. But I wanna play Martial Powers today because I got the playtest tonight. So I think messing around with powers is going to put me in the right headspace for tonight's playtest. But we've been thinking about how the subclasses, like looking at what subclass features should be framed as features versus like free powers, like powers that you get that follow the rules of like generating mana and like maneuver usage. Because with the power system, you can use like the maneuvers are like maneuvers are things that you can do to affect other creatures. Sustained powers are things that you do to affect yourself, like to buff yourself. So it's like the point click control stuff and ally buff things are maneuvers in general. And for the most part, maneuvers can be done as actions or like as the magic action or as a bonus action. So you can do them both in the same round. Spellcasters are limited to one leveled spell per round, and then if they have the option, a cantrip on top of it if you can squeeze one in. But the martial characters don't have that restriction. They also don't have, they're stuck at half casting progressions. So their unique balancing feature that makes it same but different is that they can give up action economy during combat to gain free mana to utilize their powers repeatedly, even without actually even touching their mana pool if they don't want to overclock it. So they have sustain, like the way that martials are depicted as having all this endurance to be able to do stuff like over and over and over again. But if we're building everything from a magic perspective, like everyone has a mana pool, the way to express that is to create ways for martial characters to have infinite mana in very small doses, so they can spam small burst effect that doesn't outpace the massive Nova drops that high level full casters get. So there's a fun balance that we're finding there, and so you can use the like quote unquote maneuvers can be done twice in the same round as an action, as magic action and bonus action. So going through the class features, the subclass features that all the classes get, we want to start looking at like would whatever, like ability X, like ranger ability X, or like barbarian ability Y, like Path of the Ancient Tree or whatever the hell it's called. Like, should this 6th level feature, is it appropriate as it is, or can we reframe that in a way that the character would be able to generate mana to be able to do this thing more often than usual? So there's a different balancing point that we can use that so far has been working out really well across the different testing that we've done. So we've had play testing. Currently we're at 3rd level. We've had a 5th and 6th level hex crawl, and we had a 16th through 20th level high end. Basically, how far can we clock this system testing? And we did that high end testing for about during my home game. We tested that from level 16 to 20 over the course of, I'd say, like 3 or 4 months, and it all felt really good at the high end. So all the playtesting that we're doing here is to try to see what can we do to keep that feeling that we were having at the high level, and then can we have that same feeling at low first, in the first and second tier of play, without making the system too powerful to break it. And so far, everything that we've been building is power is it feels good. It feels balanced. So, but the testing continues and the tweaking continues. So that tweaking is what we're going to do today during my lunch stream, and then we'll get through the play testing. I'll probably spend the rest of my night off stream updating the map. It's a mega dungeon. It's a mega dungeon that they're running through. So it'll be from level 3 to 10, and it's just going to go deeper and deeper and deeper underground as they gain levels. Unless when we get to level, like when you clear level 4 and get into level 5, when you go into like a new tier of gameplay by gaining a proficiency bonus, that's when I'd like to tag in and have a new session 0. It's like, are you guys enjoying where this is going? Because with mega dungeons, you can always, like, your treasure can be finding a treasure map that leads you to another dungeon that has a different motif. Kind of like in Path of Exile or Diablo, you find maps to run in the end game. Mega dungeons can be the same way in D&D, that you find a treasure map, it leads you to a new hole in the ground, you dive into it, there's different types of monsters, different types of treasure, but it's the same game loop of delve a dungeon, pull out loot, find another dungeon to pull out loot. Keep doing that until you're a god. That's basically the Beckme approach. This is all going to get grayed out, so I'm okay with that, but he's a bit too big, so I'm going to actually pull this one. If actually he's big enough, if I pull him forward, this one is definitely, if I'm going to have it that size, it should sit here. That should be okay. Hey, what's up, text? Oh, the Illustrious Paladin? Right on. As of the campaign, party, environment, paladin, bard, male, drow, pilgrim, missionary. Oh, cool. Oh, right on. You have different character personality types that you like depending on what the theme of the campaign is. That's smart. That's really smart. This is all going to get grayed out, so I'm okay with that, but he's a bit too big, so I'm going to actually pull this one. Actually, he's big enough if I pull him forward. There. This one is definitely, if I'm going to have that size, it should sit here. Then I'll be back to work on Wednesday, and I'll be, that's our weekly game that day. It's a holiday, so we're all off work. So we're like, yeah, well, we definitely aren't going to game. Typically, we game on Wednesdays. Our backup day is Monday. So that's why I have an inconsistency at lunchtime between Wednesdays and Mondays, because it just depends on what day of the week I'm playing with my work team. Obviously, that lunch is being eaten by actually playing the game, so I can't stream art on that day. But I want to get back. I also want to get back. I want to focus on martial powers today, but I also want to keep moving forward with the Spell Point Sorcerer, because that is really close to done. I would have to do all the artwork, and I'd want to hire out an editor to make sure that I read, that everything reads good. But it's like 80% done. It's super close. It should technically be the next thing that I push out. And if I was willing to take a break from designing stuff, I could potentially start doing artwork for Spellpoint Sorcerers, but that would have to be on the side, because Monday through Friday in the morning like this is for Eberron, because Eberron is the next big project that we're gonna get published here. Because I have an editor and a co-writer that are owed compensation for their participation in building this thing, so I'm obligated to get it done. I work these other projects on the side so I don't burn out, because these things are really big and they take, obviously, for fucking ever. I'm almost at episode 400. These things take a ton of time to make, and so instead of me just drilling down and focusing on this specifically right now, I'm working different projects to help be able to take mental breaks from this. Now, once the page layouts are done, I'll be doing a lot more. I have to do page layouts in the evening, and that ties up time. But once the page layouts are done, there's like 30 some odd pages left. But once those are all done, I'll start doing artwork in the evening as well, and that's going to take a ton of pressure off of me. Because once all I have to do is artwork, I can start a piece. Like, I can start a piece on stream here, and then I can mess around with it for another 2 to 4 hours in the evening and come back with more progress than what we had on screen. So I'm really looking forward to it. Just the format, this 16:9 format is something I've never messed around with. So it's really taking me a while to make, like, to fight the text to get it into position so it fits the page properly. But this is gonna be my best piece. This is freaking awesome. Hey Steve, it's good to see you, my guy. Thanks, Chronix. I love doing Undead. It is like I've probably, like I keep saying, in high school when I got bored in class, I'd just make zombies, zombie cats, zombie horses, zombie birds, zombie people, and so I have, like, this is so old school for me. This is very, very old school, Phil. Just burning time. I used to. So, you know, we all know I've got horrible vision, right? I'm legally blind, and in middle school they had like home ec and like a sewing class and shop, you know, these different elective classes, like quote unquote elective classes that would switch every quarter. Well, in my case, sewing, like we had a sewing class, and it was for, you know, it was 1 quarter, so it was a 3-month stretch to learn how to sew. Well, about halfway through the class, I was fucking around and being stupid with scissors. I was just kind of just haphazardly talking to somebody and cutting at strings and wasn't paying attention. I cut the end of my finger off. So rather, it kind of like flopped over and folded back. It only needed 17 stitches. But the faculty decided that I was a walking liability, and shop class with drills and saws was coming up next. So they took me to the principal's office, and it's like, you know, Phil, you kind of injured yourself there, and we're concerned about your well-being. So instead of you taking shop, we would like you to take study hall next quarter instead. And I'm like, really? I'm like, yeah, we'll give you a passing grade for the shop class. Just don't show up. Here's your pass. Here's your new schedule. You'll be going to study hall. And so it was the senior class study hall. And these were all students who just did not give a fuck. And the teacher didn't care either. They were there because they just had to burn out class and go home. So like they're all like comics and magazines and talking shit. And I'm like this little 13-year-old that rolls in, and they're like, yeah, who's this dork or whatever. But I was already into D&D, and I was already making maps, and I was already getting into artwork. And it wasn't long before, like, there was a cluster of us that loved fantasy and X-Men. And I got, like, for an hour a day, I got to hang with the senior class and was treated as an equal. It was so fucking cool. It was so fucking cool. They wouldn't give me the time of day outside of class, but in class, I was an equal peer, an equal nerd, as it were, and it was super cool. That year in school was so fucking dope for me, because I got to do this, and it's like, and the more it looked like the book cover or like the album cover of Slayer or you know, Megadeth. It was really big back then with Eddie the Skeleton, so it was so fun, and the teacher just did not care. He's like, whatever, I know you guys are all just phoning it in, so me too, I'm gonna go get a drink. It was so awesome. God, I had just the best life. It was so fucking cool. They wouldn't give me the time of day outside of class, but in class I was. So that really sculpted my opinion about status and your peer group. And how, especially among men, expertise and skill is authority. Age doesn't, like in chess, man. If you got a 2400 rating, it doesn't matter if you're 10 or you're 70. If like a 2000 is a freaking 2000. If you're good, you're good. If 2400 is amazing, and you just earn respect based on your skill set, and it's just merit. What is it? Meritocracy, competence, and I learned so much about that during that time as a kid. It's just it was cool. It was really, really cool. I'm rambling. Can you tell? I'm really rambling. But hey, that's a really fucking good skull. That's probably one of the best skulls I've done, man. But that's what happens when I turn off my brain and just start rambling about stuff that makes me happy. What's up? I mean, Iron Maiden, yeah, Judas Priest too, right. Iron Maiden for sure. Oh wow, right on, man. Cheers to that.
And it's just merit. What is it? Meritocracy, competence, and I learned so much about that during that time as a kid.
I was in class and I watched the Columbia Space Shuttle explode live on TV. That's my big claim to fame.
But hey, that's a really fucking good skull. That's probably one of the best skulls I've done, man. But that's what happens when I turn off my brain and just start.
We're like, what the fuck just happened? And the teacher's like, well, okay, that happened. Let's do some arithmetic.
Oh wow, right on, man. Cheers to that.
That's where the joke came from. What does NASA stand for? Need another 7 astronauts? Oof, God, it was so soon.
And I watched the Columbia Space Shuttle explode live on TV. That's
I feel like I've got a longer time delay than usual. I have to check my settings.
we're like, what the fuck just happened?
I need to turn this down. I can hear myself a little bit too much.
Okay, that happened.
Let's do some arithmetic. Yeah, that should be fun. Our teacher was friends with the chick on that show. Yeah, Jesus. Fair enough. I was like, oh God, I was like in 4th grade, something like that. That feels good. Today, kids, we learned that science can go horribly wrong. Here, watch this footage. This is why you want to study, kids, so you don't fuck people's lives up. That could have been the lesson. Could have been the lesson. I like this guy. That's coming in. How are we sitting? Yeah, I don't have to get that detailed, so I can just make sure I have this in here. This again, this is all. Most of this is going to get faded out with the fog. The further back from the front line we get, the more fog fills in. So like this, like you know, like this torso is going to be covered up a lot like this, right? Oops, wrong layer. But you get the idea. Zoom. And I like how Yugoloth turned out. I need to clean him up a little bit, but I'm pretty happy with it. I spy with my eye. There is some more text. What's up? Like if I watch your channel on both my touchpad and my laptop side to side, the touchpad video is about 2 to 3 seconds behind. Yeah, mine does that too. Mine always does that too. Yeah, tablets seem to be a little bit. Yeah, the touchpad video is about 2 to 3 seconds behind. Chat spot is the same. The audio is like, huh. Well, that's a little different, but yeah, weird. I do have inconsistency between devices. My tablet and cell phone tend to lag behind where my desktop is at, and I don't know if it's just a matter of the mobile transferring data somehow. Hell if I know. Skull's a little bit big. This probably means the body is actually small. Let's assume the body is small and bump that. Oops, bump that up a tig. For transform equals bigger. There we go. That looks really nice. There. And that feels good. How are we doing on time over here? What, another 20 minutes, maybe? This has been a pretty productive day. Yeah, definitely not getting to color. That was a bold assumption. But I might be getting into color tomorrow. I'm not feeling. I feel like I can push. I feel like I can push this more. We can at least get. We should be able to get the back line done. And so once we do, God damn, that guy looks big. Once we do, then we should be able to come back in with color tomorrow. So let's see where our balance point is at. These guys are all in proportion with each other. It's the Yugoloth that is just ridiculously big right now. Let's resize that guy. That looks pretty good. I want to put another person here, here, and here. And then it's just going to be chrome, it's just going to be domes pretty much on the back line further back. And okay, this guy needs more. Let's up this guy a touch. There and there. This guy is here. And what is this? What is this one? Okay. All right. Yeah. There and there and there and there and there. Yeah, that's all sequencing properly. This is all seeing nice. Let's put in more detail over here on this guy before we move along. He's looking great. He's in a good spot. And now he's literally in a good spot. There. Let's work on him. Uh-oh. Yeah. Actually, I think I do want to have this one a little bit bigger. Crowd them in. That feels good. That feels good. Thank you. Yeah, see, I don't need, I'm gonna hit save. Something just told me to hit save before something goes wrong. Yeah, let's get this guy a little bit further along. There we go. Thank you, Timely Timer. I can push another 20 minutes. Well, I technically don't have anywhere to be today other than back on stream at 1:30. I do want to have time for me to pick up around the house, you know, be a good steward of my own home, put some healthy food in my body, and take some time to do some page layouts to keep moving forward. So far, all the maps are working out on the pages. It's been a struggle to figure out how to make the maps that we have fit in the spaces that we have, but it's panning out. So the piece is going to look really good when it's done. Very, very happy. And I'm looking forward to getting it to a point where I'm okay sharing it. And then in February, which is coming up here really fast, we're going to have the new monster manual out in the middle of the month. So then we'll be able to, once that's out, we can start properly formatting the monster appendix. There's like maybe there's a few NPCs and a slew of monsters that we want to new monsters that we want to make sure are built correctly. So, God's willing, that'll be the last piece that we need to drop into place to finish the layouts. And then it'll just be artwork. And that's when life gets a lot of fun. considering most of that's going to get grayed out, I think that's okay. Yeah, that should be fine. Let's go back to the back line here just to put a little bit more. That's about as much detail as I actually want. It's going to get hazed over a little bit, so it's just going to kind of like poke out of the mist. There you go, buddy. You're looking sinister. Move forward a bit. Those look good. Too much of a gap. And you're still looking a little bit too loose. There we go. That looks cool. I like that. That looks pretty good. Yeah, I like that. Looks good. Nice. Let's see. Hey, what's up? Coincidentally, your lawful neutral CEO character is also a paladin. Oh, is this you're in an Ack Inc. Campaign? Is that right? No, wait. Space Old Dark Side of the Moon, a televangelist inspired by the Cyberpunk 2020 quote, Hitler was a wrong boy. That's awesome. Yeah, let's do that. I can afford to cut. Paste. It's going to be too big, but we can resize it. So. Right. There it is. That's very cool. I don't care about you. Go away. Let's do a little corner. That feels good. That feels good. I think that means that this guy can be a little bit bigger. Yeah. Maybe like in here and then here and then here, and then just some domes. That should probably. That's looking packed enough to have stuff there. If I can have just a little bit more inference, like here. Just one more. I'm gonna make the Eagleoth disappear for a bit. And I guess make the front line disappear. Yeah, the crowd density is getting pretty good. Yeah, thank you. That's how I like to. I like having zombies, skeletons like have that like uncertainty, you know, like ghasts, ghouls, all of them can kind of fit together. You can have mix of flesh, little bits of leather. It's magic. It's unnatural, so you don't have to be so specific about like what's the anatomy on this. Like give me a break. It's oh shit, I just locked up. There it is. Occasionally the program locks up. If I hit save and then try to flip to a different tool, sometimes it'll jumpstart it. And it looks like it worked this time. I got a pop up this morning from OBS Studio Tools wanting to do an update, and I'm like, that probably means that it's not gonna, like, OBS, when OBS wants an update, it stops working nicely with Adobe after a little bit. I'm gonna switch my seat. I'm gonna actually take a second here and take a sip. So yeah, when we get into the body, I can do I can get skin, I can get muscle, I can get gristle, I can get sinew, I can get blood, I can get bone. There's a lot of different texture and color that I can pull off of a cadaver that fits on the body if you have like organs and flesh and bone all sticking out. A lot of variety there. Should look pretty good. And the mist will have a greenish tinge to it for the inference of poison from Magic the Gathering being green. So I'm going to pull that in a little bit. Should look pretty good. Should look pretty good. But I'm starting to put a lot of detail in, just automatically snapping to like lots of detail. When I do pieces, I really don't care about how long it takes to get done. Obviously, I want the things done so I can move on to the next thing. But the only reason I want to speed up getting things done is because I want to go on to the next thing, because there's so many things that are firing in my brain. I only have so much time left on this world to get stuff done. But if this was, I mean, like, otherwise, I really don't care how long it takes. I do it because I want to do the art. I started making books because in a global economy, as a freelance illustrator, I couldn't compete against people with like an eighth of my monthly income needs that were capable of charging just as much. So it was a real loss. I just couldn't compete, couldn't keep up. So that's why I started getting into making books, so that I didn't have to think so much about like how much am I getting paid for this artwork to do this thing for this other person, and the amount of time that I'm going to put into it. Am I going to feel good at the end of the amount of time it took me to make this thing, to give it away to somebody else, or like, you know, I'm selling it to them because I got commissioned to do it? And the answer kept up coming up, no. The amount of time that I want to spend to make artwork look the way that I want is not worth the amount of money people are willing to pay for the skills that I have in a global economy. So that meant I had to basically give up doing freelance illustration because I felt like I was being taken advantage of because of the prices. So that's when I got the idea, well, if I start making my own books, it's not about how much am I getting paid for my art. It's now me creating the art is part of the process of selling the book. So when my books do well, I'm proud that I invested the time that I put into the artwork because that undoubtedly helped with getting with selling the book. So it becomes a what's the word? It's not nearly as much of a sunk cost, you know? Plus, me doing the artwork for the book allows me to talk about the book, to brag about how fun it is, and just talk shit about it for however long it takes to get made. And I guess that's technically marketing. And I will also point out the amount of D&D Sphere videos that are coming out saying, is there a risk to D&D content creators? How are we supposed to navigate, the world order? And I'm really happy that I can basically run this play forever. Because I don't care if the YouTube channel makes money or not. I'm here doing this because I want to talk about the books that I'm making. And as long as I keep showing up, it helps make sure that I'm getting stuff done. Like doing these streams is me holding myself accountable that like next day we're going to get more stuff done. And all I got to do is, if I do that often enough, the book gets done. When I didn't stream, and if I wanted, it's so much easier to procrastinate if you don't hold yourself accountable to somebody. And so I wanted to create this YouTube channel so that I could hold myself accountable, get my shit done. Plus the residual benefit of I get to talk about my books for however long it takes to get made. And the stuff, for those that resonate with it, they stick around. Those that don't, they come and go, and thank you. Anyway, that's the idea. So I can essentially do this forever because I don't need this to make money. I do this so I can finish my books. It's the books. It's all about the books. Books. But I don't have to follow any trends. I'm just I'll be doing this for another 100 episodes or whatever. I feel so bad for some of these channels because I'm already like the YouTube channels for D&D content that you would expect to see have something like top 10 best recommended origin feats for your 2024 character. Like they've already done all of the best feat lists, and now they have to do them again. It's like that's gotta feel so. Like if you're doing that because you have to do that because you have to turn out content because you're dependent on whether or not your YouTube channel is going to make money or not. I don't ever want to be that guy. I mean, bless the people that are, and I'm not shitting on anyone specifically. But all the channels that you would expect to have a top 10 list of the top 3 weapon masteries that are best for your character. It's just like this. Jesus, what a trap. Again, I'm not trying to act superior over anybody, but that is like the exact opposite of what I would want to have to do on a YouTube channel. Like that is very much like a job. And I can't have my artwork become a job. That is the opposite of creative freedom. Free-sitting mess. Oh, God, yeah, this is completely pointless. I don't need to worry about that. Eagleoth again, looking way too big now. I could take the entire thing. Bump up its size a bit. There. Oof, yeah. That is coming along. Keep paws off you, monkey. Facts, which is part of the reason my other channel will intentionally never be monetized. That and YouTube and Uncle Sam taxing my art is unacceptable. Fair enough, my man. Blah, blah, blah. Blah. Let's do another one here. I think my music stopped. Nope, it's still there. Yeah, I can hear it now. That is not a lot of detail. That is not a lot of detail needed. I am happy about that. I think I can get away with this level of detail at this point. Huh, where are we at? Okay. Here, then here. gap is here. Gap is here. I feel like I want to leave a gap over. Maybe if I there and there. Maybe if I push him down in that space there, that opens up a space here. And then I can leave that. I can leave that a little bit open. Like that. Yeah, so if I drop a head in here, that should probably... Nah. Yeah, I need a head here, and then I can leave that gap open there. I think that'll be okay. And then domes. Yeah, okay, so I think the only face I really need... Well, I could probably toss in like a little face here, but like the only face of any kind of detail at all I think needs to be here. Let me trim this down. What's up? Should be fine. Can get away with. Good enough. There's also a matter of like, will the detail matter? Is probably a better way of wording it. It's mostly mob density that I'm really fighting with right now, right? Leave him like that. I think I can get away with that. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Something like that. Cool. And we got you back there. We got you there. This is the place. Yeah, right here. Block that in. Yawn. I think I'm just about done doing Undead for this piece. Starting to fatigue. Looking good there, buddy. There we go. Dude, you're looking... Wow! You're looking good, buddy. Nice. I'll make them a little bit smaller. Yeah, one of the other advantages of having a fleshly sort of skeletal thing is transparency. If you can see through every one of their rib cages, then you're going to have a depth issue, and you're going to have a silhouette issue. Skeletons themselves are okay until you start thinking about like how much transparent, like how much gap is between each rib. How many ribs specifically do I need to have on that rib cage for it to read properly as a rib cage instead of a cheap caricature? So by having flesh across their body, I can intermittently have gaps in their flesh to show ribs through without having to worry about the entire rib cage, which is just a massive pain in the ass. So it's a hack cheat to prevent me from, again, the style is helping apologize for the lack of photorealism, which is all style really is attempting to create an aesthetic apology for not being photorealistic. If you are photorealistic, you do not have a style. You are reproducing reality, and that is the opposite of style. Just like sports is the opposite of narrative. It's a simple factual accounting for what is. And it is utterly lacking in style unto itself. It's once you start deviating from true reality, that's when you start generating a style that creates an aesthetic solution that covers the gap for the fact that this is not a photorealistic piece. But if the style is cool, you don't care because it's aesthetically pleasing anyway. Or perhaps even more so than what a photorealistic concept would be. It's like comic books are often just so artful and they look so cool. Like good comics are really cool art because it's a stylized, consistent approach to like a self-referential, self-contained piece about how you're depicting reality. So, rusty bits. Yeah, no kidding, right? And I imagine cosmetics development in the movie industry kind of went along that same line, right? If there's going to be a person underneath there on a camera that's supposed to be acting like a zombie, then we just want to have them be a normal person because we can't take pieces out of them. So you just got to kind of juice it up, make it look sloppy, bloody. Ugh, you're boring as fuck, dude. What a basic zombie. There, that starting to look a little bit better. Yep, filled in the gap. Boom, 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 boom. You again. There. All right. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There we go. Person there. There. Saw. Yeah, right on, man. Come and go as you please. Here. 9:30. I think we're almost done. I'm gonna give it a. We'll go till it's 9:30 here in Seattle. We'll go at most till 10 o'clock. I've got another 20 minutes that's rolling right now, and we'll probably be close to kicking at that time. Log out, get some stuff done here around the house. Come back in a couple hours. There. Random goon pose. Just like that. That should be sufficient. I think, yeah, the mist should be able to cover the rest of that. Push you guys a little bit further back. I want to tilt that a little bit, actually. Tilt. Almost there. These little mounds, these will probably become like shadows. I suspect we'll darken them in. At some point, there's going to be like there's going to be a transition from highlighting so you can see the details to fading out into, like, there's only, like, in this region here, there's at most 20 or between 20 and 40 feet worth of clear vision, and then it becomes obscured. Twice that distance, and then it's completely slightly obscured, and then it's completely obscured. So like 20 feet of clear, 20 feet of obscured, and then 20 feet is nothing. So the amount of fog that I'll have filling in this gap back here, right around past the Yugoloth, is where we're going to start seeing things fading out into the fog, where dark silhouettes like dark density, like over here, that'll become how we outline them. But until we start dropping in those details, I won't know how those sit specifically. So I'm adding in these curves here to give an idea of where those silhouettes will be, without locking myself in on how dark or detailed they're going to be yet. That's too dense. Yeah, like that. Oh God, I can imagine. Where in the nation are you at? It sounds like East Coast. Or Central North. Oh, right on. I got family and friends in Tennessee, and they were surprised at how cold the snap was last week. Let's drop down some opacity here just to fade them out a little bit. Man, I feel like that one needs to be a little bit bigger. That's not bad. I am pretty pleased with this. There's a little bit of a gap in here. just like some real vague gestures in here. I think it's all I really need, since the fog will be blending out most of that, and then we can pepper in a little bit of detail. Once we get into the color phase, I think we can just like dot in like some glowing eyes, like black like black and like grayed out silhouettes with like glowing eyes here in the back rank. I think will help fill a lot of that in, and then we can just start doing like little dots for where eyes are at. I think that's going to carry a lot of narrative for us without actually any added detail needed. There, that feels pretty good. And then, yeah, and then the Yugoloth. I'm still figuring this dude out. Yeah, that feels right. Random weapons sticking out. All right, I think that takes care of the line art. And then, so when we come back tomorrow, we'll start working on color. That is exciting. Let's see, mist effect. More mist effect. Now let's see about a bit of a twist. I think that's going to work out. Yugoloth can afford to drop down and over a touch. There. The answer to your question is there he is. Yeah. This will stand. Obviously, these are all stacked up. They're going to be individual layers. They're all kind of compiling over each other right now, but they'll have their own. They'll have their own separate. You know, we'll be able to separate the images from each other, so they aren't tumbling over each other so much. But we have to have that stacking effect for the foreshortening of it to be able to preserve the illusion. But yeah, lurching forward, classic pose. He's there. Needs to be more Skeletor. Maybe that's right. We'll figure it out as we work on it. We'll end up adjusting accordingly. So I like how the pose is at right now. Raise it up a touch there. Yeah, like a scepter or something might not be a bad idea to help create a little bit more sense of balance. Like something like that and have them gripping too. That could be appropriate. Picket signs. That hand being open, yeah, this one gripping, like gripping, yeah, that doesn't feel bad at all. Something like that might be fun. Oh yeah, maybe that could be a good point. Maybe his forward hand should be left open for the Hitler of it. Kind of like that idea. Yeah, I think it's cool. I agree. A dark dweller. We'll figure that out. I think it'll be a neat idea, possibility here for like making a strong profile there. And strengthening that gesture. It's a good suggestion, Francois. It's a fun suggestion. I think I want to up his size just a little bit, just to give him some grandeur. Just a smidge. Oh, God, that feels better already. And I'm going to mess around with this text a little bit. I think I can tighten up this sentence. I got to get rid of that. I got to get rid of that widow. But that needs to go. So I'll have to figure out the words so I can fit inside that space. But I have to get rid of that. And then we'll have the fogging effect bleed into the page. And that'll be a good little mess. Hey, how about that? 20-minute timer popped. And what is it, 10 o'clock now? It's 9:50. Good enough. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and pause it here for now. I'll be back in about 3.5 hours to work on martial powers. God, I'm looking forward to getting back into martial powers. I love visiting that document. It's so much fun. This is good. I'm really happy with this. It's certainly setting a high bar for the rest of the art that we put in the book. But realistically, there's not going to be a ton of art that aren't tokens and maps that we don't already have done. So neat little pieces like this, I love spending the time on. There's probably only going to be like maybe like 10 pieces that are going to be of something similar quality to that, if even. I mean, you've got all these artifacts, but this is just art. I mean, these are little art pieces, like little items. So these won't be too difficult to do. But once we finish up with this Undead, then we're gonna go to the rest of this page and do all these different planar artifacts. And fuck, this is gonna be fun. Really, really fun. This has been a great day. I'm loving this. Yeah. that's what the here, hold on. That's the symbol for Mabar. I'll show you the book cover. Each plane has its own sigil, and this is literally the sigil for Mabar. So, and since the plane of Mabar is in Eberron is the plane that empowers undead and darkness magic. Yeah, like a black antenna that emits like a black radiance. That's kind of the idea. Yeah, and then when you back this off, it's got the eye sort of look to it. Like this is what the artifact eye of Mabar looks like, but we have it set into this eye sort of motif. And then it's intended to look like a demon or a dragon face, which is appropriate for the blood of Vol. And then when you zoom in, it's actually the three different, like the gatehouse, the flooded fortress, and the cemetery. There's a tunnel from the cemetery that leads underground. There's a tunnel in the fort that also leads down. This is an open tunnel that's flooded with water that leads down in the adventure. The cemetery is a hidden secret passage that leads down to the facility. There's an elevator in the gatehouse. And this is literally how they're arranged with each other in a triangle. And there's an elevator shaft that leads down into the underground facility. So tunnel down, elevator shaft, and spiral staircase that leads down. And throughout the complex, it's obviously not literally lined up like this, but inside the Nexus, there's this crystalline like pod people thing that's formed around Solzu, the necromancer that's performing the ritual, and it liquefies his body. And if the ritual completes, it liquefies him, and then he reforms into a Yugoloth. And the Eye of Mabar, that's like an iron sphere with the symbol of Mabar in it, that becomes an eyeball, like a central eye, like a Cyclopsan style Yugoloth that its body is formed around. So when this Yugoloth is completed, it's now, not only is it a Yugoloth like a CR12 creature, but it also has all of the knowledge that Solzu had while he was alive. He's a high-ranking position in the Emerald Claw. He was military intelligence during the last war, and he knows about all the toys that are in Aether Academy and a lot of the hidden weapon and magic depots that are scattered across Karnath. So if this guy actually gets, if you disrupt the ritual the form devolves to like an Arcanoloth or something like a CR5 creature that becomes pretty easy for your 7th or 8th level characters to resolve. But if as part of an ongoing campaign, if you wanted to, Souls Who completes the ritual transforms into a full Ultraloth that then opens a portal to the plane of Mabar where undead and demons can come through and start flooding the world. So if you want to push your campaign to higher levels, you can use this as a means of that, because if the Eye of Mabar isn't destroyed, it's just going to be used in another ritual someplace else. So eventually it will create an Ultraloth that'll have control of the manifest zone as a gate to be able to open a passage to hell. Anyway, that's the idea. The exceptional fan. Yeah. I've only ever been 50% good art. So yeah, but I like it. Yeah, I think the piece is gonna end up looking like a pretty good book. I'm pretty happy with all the different pieces. So I think it should all be able to blend together in a nice way. And this, yeah, and yeah. Once the layouts are done, we'll be able to fix the border. And then once the borders are done, we'll be able to play with the texture a little bit on the back page, and then we'll have that be able to blend into pieces like this a little bit better. But we're coming along, so we just keep pushing forward every day. I'm going to hit save. That's it for now. I'm going to bounce. I'll be back in 3.5 hours to do Martial Powers design, and then I'll have my playtest tonight. I'll be back tomorrow morning to start coloring this. I have the day off tomorrow, so we'll come back. We'll probably work on Bastions tomorrow afternoon as well. And then Wednesday, I'll be back at work. So Wednesday morning, like usual, no lunch. Thursday morning, like usual. Thursday night, stream. Not sure what we're going to work on. And then Friday morning, Friday lunch. Saturday brunch. And then back to normal weeks for probably a month or so. Yeah, probably until May. In May, I'll have a week off again. But I don't think I'll have, other than any holidays that might crop up. I think the 19th of February I have off. And otherwise, I should be just my normal routine until May. And then I'll have a week off in May again. So anyway, that's where we're at. So don't cut yourself off at the knees on this one because you fear needing to increase the standard of the rest of the book. Yeah. No. That's I always push myself. I always end up pushing myself further. Thanks for the vote of confidence. I appreciate that. I always end up pushing myself. Like the more books, like you can tell my earlier books have shoddier art, the further and further, like the more I do these books, like the more I'm willing to spend the time on just making the art cool. So that really is the point, was make the books so I don't have to worry about the quality of the art, so I can spend time on it. So I don't have to worry about the timing of the art. I can just focus on making it look good. There you go. So anyway, that's it for now, guys. I'll be out of here. I'll see you guys in 3.5 and have a great morning. Cheers.